Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. The Kiharu Member of Parliament, a man who has been in the limelight for better part of last week because of his removal from the Budget and Appropriation Committee, called a press briefing on Tuesday afternoon in his KICC office, and he called that press briefing setting the record straight. I have taken time to follow and to listen to what Nyoro said, and I paid attention to some things. The body language, the tone, the timing, and the objective of the presser. Remember, this press briefing is coming at a time Ruto is having a cordial relationship. President Ruto is having a cordial relationship with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And in this podcast, I am going to explain the unspoken. So by listening, by taking consideration to the things I've said, the body language, the tone, the timing, and the message of what Nyoro has said, at the end of this podcast, you will understand the real reason why Nyoro called that press briefing. And I can tell you, he's so intentional about it. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our videos. The notification, as you can see there, that if you look at that screen, that screenshot there, you will see how you subscribe, and how you click the notification, so that when we publish a video, you'll not skip. Utakuwa unapata notifications, and I still say subscription is absolutely free. So when you subscribe, that is when you fully become a member and a very good subscriber, a supporter of this channel. Nyoro started by making a disclaimer and explaining to the journalist there as to why he actually called. So from the word go, he had a preamble to that press briefing. Just get a snippet. It started here.
Allow me, even before I say much, to first of all give you the reason why I called you here, so that our expectations can meet somewhere in the middle. I know there is what I want to say, but I also know there is what you want to hear. And that is the nature of the work we do, and that is the nature of your work. If you allow me today, I called you in this particular office because you have come here before, most of you, in terms of coverage of budget making process. And I called you specifically here because that is actually the agenda.
But then I want us to reflect. There's some four factors, then four statements he made. He spoke for 1 hour, but I've narrowed it down to the four main issues that came out of that press briefing. Number one, in his objective explaining on how he lost his position.
There is no one who has ever called me, decision makers of our coalition, to say anything around this. I read in newspapers about myself the same way you do. You've asked me a very difficult question on why I was repressed. I also don't know. And I am saying it in good faith. I didn't come here to accuse anyone today, or I only came to set the record straight. No one in the leadership of our coalition, from whichever position, has ever called me in regards to the position, in regards to what I need to do better, in regards to what I need to change, in regards to things that needed to be done in a different manner, it's very good for me to put it into record, because as I said, I was holding this position knowing that I was serving Kenyans, so I am also answerable. And
the one word that comes out of that statement here is, I have not received any information from anyone regarding this position, anyone from our coalition. I want you to take reference in the word our coalition. Throughout that discussion, when, of course, Ndindi Nyoro has been replaced by my member of parliament, Samuel Onunga Atandi. And when one thing he's saying is, or rather if you interpret this, if you interpret the semantics, is that he was expecting at least to hear something from the coalition. He has failed to say, so probably not even the president, anyone from their coalition. Directly what Ndindi Nyoro insinuates here is he was holding that position in respect to coalition agreement, and directly telling the president that you have betrayed our coalition agreement. And the reason why he's putting that straight is this. The reason why Ndindi Nyoro partly has lost that position is because of Ruto-Raila deal. When that announcement, when that High Court ruling came that Azimio is the majority, there was a stalemate. Of course, Parliament wanted to go to appeal. And because Speaker made that ruling against Azimio, Azimio wanted to marshal numbers to go and bring an impeachment motion against Moses Masika Wetangula. That motion could sail through for two reasons. ODM and Azimio affiliates, the Wiper and the Jubilee, were coming together. And that would have shown a reunion of Azimio, something that President Ruto didn't want. Number two, it would have sailed, Wetangula impeachment would have sailed because of the UDA rebels that were coalescing around Rigathi Gachagua. And number three, even the UDA MPs, some around the president, would have also just voted to impeach Moses Masika Wetangula based on other factors on that house. Now, to avert that fallout, and that was going to cause Wetangula Ruto fallout, and if Wetangula is to be impeached, he will head straight to Nyoro and meet Rigathi. President Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga reached some give and take. It is coupled to the new agreement, power agreement between Ruto and Raila, for ODM to get some positions that were held by the majority side. And one of those positions was actually the Budget and Appropriation Committee. But I still believe they will still give others like finance. This one for Kuria, Kimani Kuria. But they intentionally went for that one for Ndindi Nyoro because they targeted Ndindi Nyoro. Now, remember the statement by Kimani Ichun'gwa and Junet accusing Nyoro of diverting resources to Kiharu. That was just a proxy to try to justify so that isionekane they are playing games, but in real sense, that was just a proxy narrative. Then Nyoro spoke about the second bit, explaining the last time he spoke with the president.
The position I held is a consultative position in terms of before a decision is made, there has to be a lot of consultations. But as I said before, because I also don't want to discuss personalities today, the position or the answer I gave before, I think it answers many things. That I have not had any conversation directly or on phone with any leader of our coalition in regards to the position I used to hold. And I think if you look at it, it answers many things also, which I also don't want to go into. In terms of the relationship with other leaders, I respect everyone. I mean, I'm one of those people who believe there's no person who becomes a leader by just being fetched from wherever. There is always a process they go through. Because I am one, I know. And therefore, in terms of you've asked the relationship between the president and the former deputy president, the position I hold is that I respect every leader. And I could have things I need to talk about. I could have reservations on decisions made. But I don't think it has been within my role to talk about those things, especially in public. The other thing in that question is that maybe for clarity's sake, the last discussion I had with the president of the country, the last political discussion, either a chat or a discussion, as it were, was before October of last year. And I would not want, and you permit me to do that, not to discuss any further about any leader, because as you're all aware, I stopped serving in my position. It's barely a week. I also need to understand many things before I talk, because I believe as a leader, I mean, I lead people. There are people who look up to us as leaders. And therefore, even when you see that I am not answering some questions, it's not because I can't answer them. I believe you have covered me previously, and you know for sure that, respectively, in this world I only fear God. So whatever I need to say, I have no reservation of saying. But also, we are given wisdom to say when to say, how to say it. And I believe we are here in Kenya. We'll keep interacting.
Now, why did he clarify this? Why do you think this was important? This was important to explain, number one, that he's not been in conversation with the president. But let me speculate. Because during the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment, I pride myself as the only, out of this political, as the only one who stood with, I was the only one who came out to oppose that Rigathi impeachment motion. And I have no regrets for it. I know people who are members of this channel, who are subscribers of this channel last year know quite a number of analysts in this country and opinion shapers who are celebrating on the other side. But I stood on the other side of the truth because I believed it was the right thing. And I'm unapologetic about it. And I did say here, the reason why, what could have happened is before Ruto impeached Rigathi Gachagua, he probably wanted to take Ndindi Nyoro to be the deputy. It was not to pick Kithure Kindiki. And two things might have happened. Ndindi Nyoro might have declined, or Ndindi Nyoro gave him okay and changed his mind in the middle. Because I can tell you, if you compare Ndindi Nyoro to Kindiki and Rigathi, Ndindi Nyoro could face Rigathi. That is the truth. Kindiki is not a political machinery. Nyoro was more of a political machinery because he was in the campaign trail. And they were in the same level. So going for Kindiki was second option. This fallout might have come at that time because he declined, or rather he declined to support Gachagua impeachment. That, if you ask me, that could be it. But of course, there is something he says there that answers many questions. The fact that they last spoke last year, the reporters in the House should see with that, he said it, that answers many questions. And it's indeed true, it answers many questions. And so those are the questions I'm telling you, those are the unspoken questions that I'm going to answer. So make sure you watch this podcast to the end. I also paid attention to his response on Ichun'gwa and Junet attacks.
Ameuliza pia wale wabunge walisema mambo bugeni last week, nitasema nini? Nitasema, uniruhusu niseme kwa kimombo. As I said before, politics is up and downs. And politics is mutually exclusive. Because the things we chase for are the same. So sometimes, for a position to be created, one person has to forgo the years. And therefore, it's always a chase. So, you also have to define yourself as a leader, the things you want to engage in. And respectively, as I say so, if I ask you as my brothers and sisters who are here, I ask you what Kibaki told anyone in the year 2008 when he was president, you'd hardly remember. You'd have to go to your files to check what Kibaki said. But if you travel through or on Thika Road Superhighway, you don't need to remember anything Kibaki said. You see it with your own eyes. So me, I believe that, yes, we have to talk as leaders because you have to explain where you are going, where you've come from. I mean, you cannot lock yourself in a room. You have to talk. But in many instances, I find that what is far-reaching and what is permanent and what is objective is more what you do than what you say. And therefore, in terms of what was said and whoever said it last week in Parliament, I would not be provoked to answer evil with evil, neither will I be provoked to answer an insult with insult.
Clearly, he has refused to go head-on with Junet Ichun'gwa. Why? And I think he's a bit laid back. He doesn't want to attack Ruto. You know that I can tell you the reporters were expecting he was going to make some bombshell. I saw the other day there was a newspaper headline that was indicating MPs that have been ripped, that have been demoted from their committee positions. And the headline was, MPs allied towards Rigathi. If Ndindi Nyoro is to go head-on with the Ichun'gwas, the narrative will come out that he's actually supporting Rigathi Gachagua, something you would not still want to come out clearly. So he's still laid back. Even though he's saying doesn't hold grudge, doesn't mean he doesn't hold grudge. From this podcast, from the press briefing, you will agree with me that he's not a happy man. That you can take. He's not a happy man. The third observation I made, I think this is the fourth observation I made. There is a reporter who asked him about Kenya Kwanza rate card. How he would rate Kenya Kwanza. I don't agree that by saying he just left the position the other day, he cannot rate Kenya Kwanza. He responded by saying, the data is out there, you can go and check. What this means is he didn't want to give a definite answer. And this is because, of course, he's saying, if I speak, I'll be subjective. I'll be subjective in the fact that I need to speak positive because I was in that position. And I believe if indeed he didn't hold the grudge per se, he's saying, then he would have said the most predictable red card that we've done best. But it's deciding to keep off because he's uncomfortable. So there is some discomfort. As to whether that discomfort is one made for the camera or he's genuine, time will tell. But I want us to look at this. From this press briefing, this is what is I can read in Ndindi Nyoro that is not in those statements as the real objective. Number one, Nyoro is confronting President Ruto that there are things happening now against our coalition agreement. And remember, if it is coalition agreement, then this applies to many things. This applies to that committee position, that applies to cabinet, a reshuffle is coming, that applies to many things. Now, because Ndindi Nyoro have started talking, he is facing President Ruto, and this piles the call that you are betraying the coalition. In fact, Ndindi Nyoro was addressing the president. He was just avoiding using the word Raila, Ruto, and Gachagua. But Nyoro is actually telling the president. But, or rather, and I don't trust him. I don't know why. I don't trust him. Yeah, I must not trust him. But I don't, my conscience is not giving me that right thing. Maybe my conscience is not right. He looks a man who is just creating that, but he knows something else. Nyoro is clarifying that he's not a President Ruto's man. That is one thing he wanted to come out. I think, because let me tell you, whatever he has said, he could still make a press, he could still post it in his social media page and still get out. And people hear. I last spoke to the president last week. I've never been consulted by anyone from our coalition about this. They can say what they say. I am not going to respond to them. All that is summary. The summary of all that is, I am not president's man. Remember, this is a narrative that has emerged, and he's trying to control that narrative. By making that statement, he's controlling that narrative by saying, I am not William Ruto's man. The other objective is this. Ndindi Nyoro is creating a center of power. And, of course, through the impeachment, he never spoke. So many things have happened here in the middle, he never spoke. Then when it reached him, he spoke. Clearly, maybe he will start talking. And has just created that. I want to know, the president is supposed to tour Murang'a. Ndindi Nyoro has made that statement. We are going to see how the others are going to react. Then I will come back here. Probably if they react after a day or some few hours, we might come back to relook at that. But the long and short of it is Ndindi Nyoro has a political stand that it doesn't seem to put clear. He has a stand. There is somewhere he is eyeing. There is something he is seeing. I saw some people saying he might be thinking of going to the ballot. I don't think so. But there is something he's thinking, but doesn't want to make it clear now. It will be interesting to see how that goes. I've seen several meetings with Medhu. Of course, there was even a meeting with some allies of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And we still have a long way. Guys, election is in 2027. I'm telling you, by the time we get to 2027 January, so many things shall have changed. Especially with President Ruto. So many things shall have changed. Thank you.